Have you ever wondered why you missed an animal or couldn't shoot tight groups? Well, there's a lot of things that go into the fundamentals of shooting that can help you become a better shot, whether that's on game or on target. And there's three common mistakes that I've seen throughout my career. The number one of all three has to be natural point of aim. So the first thing I want to show you guys is a prone position. So envision this. I'm gonna share with you more from a hunter's perspective than a target person's perspective. I'm out west, I'm on a mountaintop, right? I've got my elk, I've got my sheep at a long range. So I need to get stable. A lot of people will drop to the prone position, they have bipods, right? They've got their backpack or whatever they're shooting off of. So what's the first thing they typically do? They'll come in at a 45. So they'll come in like this, and they'll put their shoulder blade into the gun because this feels more natural. What's gonna happen is, as you move, that shoulder blade is gonna drive that gun left or right, depending on how much influence you're putting into this gun. What you wanna do is you wanna use the mechanics of your body, and you wanna be completely in line with this gun. So I drop the gun down, the elk is in front of me on the mountaintop. I wanna come in straight into the gun like this and pull the gun into my pocket. So now I can lay perfectly stable. I've got everything in one line. So think about this from a prone position. I'm kneeling, straight in line with the gun, drop down, pull the gun into my shoulder, rack it, focus, shot. It's that simple. Now, it has to become intuitive if you're hunting. So you gotta practice this over and over again. If I came in from this side, what's gonna happen? I'm gonna come in, put my shoulder into the gun. Now I'm looking for this animal like this. And now if I squeeze my arm, I'm now gonna push that shot left or right. So now let's say we're a whitetail hunter, okay? I'm probably not gonna get in a prone position for whitetail hunting. Come over here. I'm in a box blind. Okay, take my rifle. I get into position. Right, I'm looking for this deer like this, right? What's happening? Look at how low I'm crouching into this. This is forcing me to push my body into the gun. The reason for that, because your tripod's not set to the right height. Take a few extra minutes. If you're in a ground blind, if you're in a box blind, you get that natural point of aim established to where now I can take my rifle, I can put it into position. Now I can sit up straight, my body posture is good, I pull the gun into the pocket, and you notice now I'm not crouched, plus less likelihood on the recoil that I'm gonna scope myself. So now I've got a better field of view, I can look around, and I'm a lot more comfortable staying in the glass, which is really, really important. And you know what, the same thing, let's say you're hunting here in the Northeast, you're walking down a tote road, you're spotting and stalking, learning how to get into shooting positions and being stable. But again, if you try to come across the gun, what's gonna happen? I'm gonna influence the gun. Come into the gun like this, pull it into the pocket, and you're gonna be a lot more stable. So you need to control your rifle. A light gun like this Encore is gonna have a fair amount of recoil. If you don't pull the gun into your shoulder, what's gonna happen? It's gonna free recoil and your shots are gonna be a lot more erratic than if you have control over your rifle. So, number one skill you need to learn, natural point of aim. How do you learn that? Practice. And not always in the range under live fire, but also dry firing it. So I'm gonna go through each one of these positions now, showing you live fire. All right, dress the gun, like I said, knees up, straight on, drop down, pull the butt pad into the pocket. You notice my butt pad is not above my shoulder. It's not sitting up here. That's a common mistake I see people do. You get a lot of cheek pressure when you do that and a lot of felt recoil. Pull it into the pocket, straight, acquire your target, fire. So you can see there, the recoil of the gun is coming straight into my body. I had control of the gun. And when I'm shooting, I'm making sure I'm focusing on the crosshair on the target and trying to visualize my bullet hitting behind my reticle. So that way, if I do miss because of wind drift or some other conditions, the animal moved, I know where my point of impact is. I can make a correction because I have control of the rifle. The rifle isn't controlling me. So now let's jump over the Encore to show you the seated position. Now you'll find on lighter guns, like this Encore, that you can really influence your point of impact considerably because the lighter gun moves easier, and obviously under recoil the gun wants to jump. So you really have to control the gun. So sitting up tall, gun's in the pocket, like that. Now I can acquire my target. Now you see the gun's coming straight back. My reticle stayed on the target, so therefore I can see what the impact was on the animal or the target. I can make adjustments, and obviously I can quickly reload after that. So even in a blind, or where you're shooting on something where you have a ledge, make sure you're the right height. Raise or lower your seat, get a shooting bag, put it up there. What you don't want to do is get in this crouched position where you're pushing this barrel down, where you could get the scope, hit you in the head, or the recoil, takes the gun in a bad position. So you're sitting like this, straight up, control the gun, natural point of aim, fire. It's that simple. These little tricks, believe it or not, will make it more comfortable, more enjoyable, and make you more accurate. Now let's go to the third stance. We're taking a knee. The animal's coming from right to left. I'm looking at him. I pull the gun up. I rest. Remember, I don't want to be across my body here. I still want to be in line with my body. I don't want the butt pad way up here. I want the butt pad tucked in. This is also where the comb height and the height of your scope are critical as well. So your gun setup also plays into your natural point of aim. It's in the pocket, take a stance, ready to fire. If you notice, it doesn't look like I have a lot of recoil because my body is absorbing the recoil and it's all moving as one unit. Now on this next shot, I'm going to show you, I'm not going to pull it into the pocket, and watch how much this gun recoils off my shoulder and can influence my point of aim. All right, so on this one, I'm going to take the knee. Now I'm going to come across the gun, put the stock up a little higher, and I'm not going to pull it tight into my shoulder. And just watch it, how much more this gun will recoil on me. Just that little bit. That bullet's traveling down that barrel, and now it's already recoiling before the bullet's left the barrel, and I have no idea whether I hit the target or didn't hit the target. I'm shooting at a deer-sized bullseye down there, and I didn't even hit it. So just those little techniques are going to help you be a better shot in the field. But there are two other techniques I'm going to show you that all work in conjunction with one another that's going to make you a master shooter. So the next shooting technique that I find very, very important to learn is trigger control. Now this encompasses a lot. This has breathing, trigger placement. It dovetails into your natural point of aim. And what a lot of people are thinking when they're looking at a target is they're trying to time the shot, meaning they're floating around, the animal's moving, right? Or they just come onto the target and they go, there it is, and they squeeze. In the archery world, we call this target panic. Well, you still have target panic even though you're a gun shooter. And what you're trying to learn is where that shot surprises you. So, gun's unloaded here. So we cock the trigger, right? So now I'm aiming. And what a lot of people is they pass by the target and they go, there it is. And they flinch, they jerk on the trigger, they smash that trigger, and obviously the shot's going to go wherever the shot goes. It's not going to hit precisely where you are aiming. So a couple things you can learn. Number one is pull through the trigger, okay? So what I mean by that is, as I'm pulling, I want to complete the pull, pause, and release. Now you can see this really well in the encore because the hammer rebounds into the safe position. I'll show you this again. Okay, so I'm aiming, fire, release. That little bit of follow through, what do people want to do? They want instant gratification. They want the reaction that it hit the animal, what happened, it hit the bullseye, and they immediately go from fire to look. And that little bit can influence that gun. So stay on the target. You're focusing on the crosshairs in the target. You're not focusing on the trigger pull. When you get really good at this, whether this is archery, handguns, or rifles, you're so focused on aiming, the surprise of the shot is what creates a great shot. So here, I'm aiming, and that was beautifully executed. Now, how do you learn this skill? You really learn it through dry firing, repetition over and over and over again. And what I mean by that is just not shooting, you know, a gun in your backyard or in the basement or wherever at the range. I'm talking get into the position that you're going to shoot in. So let's say I'm a deer hunter, right? Let's go back to our scenario here. Again, guns unloaded, right? Practice. Okay, so if this is your scenario as a deer hunter, you could probably do this in the backyard if you live out in the country where we're not firing around. And all I want to do is practice, get on the target, boom, again, again. Those three little shots, believe it or not, I've got a 1-inch dot. At 100 yards right now, I can keep those crosshairs on that 1-inch dot, squeeze the trigger, and see the crosshairs maintain on the dot as I follow through. Now, this isn't a skill that you practice just during the summer and then you go hunting, you forget about this. Try to do this as much as you can. Anytime I come to a range, first thing I do, I break open the gun, I get everything set, and I go through. And I'll take 3 or 4 shots before ever firing a live round. What this does is reinforces the basics and the fundamentals of trigger control, sight placement, follow through. And I know there's a lot of skills all wrapped up in what I say is trigger control, but it really starts with dry firing, dry firing, dry firing. And if you think about this, this also reinforces what we said first. The number 1 skill, natural point of aim. Because now, if I'm aiming on this target and I'm wiggling around, that tells me my natural point of aim isn't right. So now, okay, oh, why wasn't I stable? Oh, let's address that, because now I'm looking at the bullseye. Completely smooth, shot surprised me, builds confidence in what you do. So I'll take a couple shots here and show you live fire what I mean. All right, live fire. Again, I've gone through the dry firing exercise. I feel confident, my natural point of aim. I feel confident I can hold on the target. Gun recoils, my reticle stayed on the target. I can call the shot, I can make any adjustments as necessary. And just these little things that you learn add up and make a huge difference in building the confidence in the shot, where that shot breaks as a surprise, and I'm not just trying to jerk the trigger because I have a form of target panic. Practice the dry firing. Now, on to skill number 3. All right, skill number 3, and I know I'm gonna get a lot of comments on this one because this one is way out of the box for a lot of people who were taught by their grandfather and their dad, the tradition of hunting and shooting passed down. But if you're a younger person, especially if you come up through the sport of archery, you intuitively know what this skill is. Shooting with 2 eyes open. And I know what you're thinking. You have a scope, you have a reticle. What's a natural thing to do? Close the eye, right? Well, here's what happens, and I need to really walk you through this, is this is vitally important to becoming a great hunter and a great marksman. When you close one eye, it reduces your field of view. Okay, the only thing that you can see is what you see through your scope. And your scope has a limited field of view based off your magnification, the design of the scope, the distance of the target. So I took all of this great big wide world, right? I have two eyes open and I close an eye. And now the only thing I can see is what's coming through this scope. I have no situational awareness. From a safety factor, that's not good. Right? Because I could have other targets moving in and out of my field of view, whether they're human targets or whether they're animal targets. So I now lose a safety perspective. The other thing is I create a lot of stress on myself because when you're looking through one eye, right, and this animal now is moving right to left and I'm tracking, I have no idea whether there's a tree to the left, whether there's a mountain to the left, whether there's an obstruction to the left. If I keep two eyes open, that I can see all around the scope. So how many times, let me put this into some terms that you'll understand. How many times you're looking for an animal, right? You go like this, pick your head on and go, oh yeah, there he is, right? Pick the head, oh, I got him, right? Well, now I'm creating stress in what I'm trying to achieve from a shooting standpoint because I see him, I don't see him, I see him, I don't see him. You keep two eyes open, right? I can track the animal, right there, right there, right there. Good. Boom. All that stress goes away. The other thing is eye fatigue. So there's a lot of times you got to stay on the glass for an extended period of time. So let's say, you know, we're back here, right? We're shooting our deer. We're in the box blind right now, and the deer's out in the field feeding. So I'm looking like this, right? And then the deer's quartering to me. I'm waiting. So what are you doing? You're not staying on the glass. Right? Your head is up because you're uncomfortable straining through one eye. If you keep two eyes open, right now, I can stay on the glass. I'm watching. Okay, you just turn, I'm ready, boom, dead. Right? I don't have to come off the glass because I'm not strained. I had this situation really burned into my mind a few years ago hunting coos deer where I had to stay on my rifle for an hour and a half because he was bedded in high grass. All you could see were the tips of his antlers. I had to wait till he stood up. And that moment he stood up is when I had to execute the shot because one step left or right, he would be invisible again. So you can imagine staying on the glass for an hour and a half with one eye closed. It's an impossibility. So it really helps with eye strain. The other scenario is, let's go back to we're in the Northeast, we're stalking through the timber, we're going down a tote road, right? So now you see your animal, right? You drop down on your knee, right? You throw your gun up and you're waiting for that deer to come through. You're picking your head up. Okay, no, he's over there. No, he's over there. So now you're constantly coming on and off of the gun. Whereas if I have two eyes open and I'm watching that animal through the scope, I'm just watching, tracking, comes past that tree, boom, dead. So keep two eyes open. Now this is a skill you have to practice, you have to learn. And I understand there's some situations where you're shooting right-handed, you're left eye dominant, what have you. But I'm talking for 90% of the people, developing the ability to shoot with two eyes open is critical. So let me show you how easy it is to shoot with two eyes open. So in this scenario, I'm just gonna shoot standing straight up. So animal's moving, right? I'm ready, I shoulder the gun, both eyes open, tracking, cock the hammer, there he is, fire. And at this point, remember now, with both eyes open, I don't have to shoot, have one eye, drop, and look around. I already see what happened to the deer. I saw the impact. So literally my follow through is better. I fire and my eyes are open. And now as that deer runs off, does what he does, I'm already imprinted on that animal. We'll shoot one more shot. It's really that easy. It takes so much stress away from you when you have both eyes open. So you add natural point of aim to trigger control to shooting two eyes open. You put all those three skills together and you're gonna be an excellent marksman.